This manuscript was on the verge of vanishing without leaving a trace. For centuries it was sealed deep within a nameless temple, hidden by the desert and by fear. They say it was written by the first who ever wrote, Thoth. He was not just a god, he was what even the gods themselves needed, the one who gave them form through the word. Master of invisible laws, witness of the judgment of souls, bearer of the secret name. What you are about to hear are not teachings for the masses, but the revelations of the one who created language itself, the one who understood that reality is not observed, it is spoken. For the first time in over 5,000 years, his voice breaks the silence, not as the distant scribe of hieroglyphs, but as the soul who discovered that the word is destiny. Stay until the end, for if you listen with your heart, you will learn how to name your world, how to awaken your soul, how to remember your truth. This is not a manuscript. It is the mirror of your sacred word. And the time has come for you to pronounce yourself. Chapter 1. The Guardian of the Eternal Word. Before the first breath gave shape to the void, before light knew its own name, I am Thoth, the one who writes in the air with a feather of fire, the one who guards the word that never dies. From the threshold of time I have watched how souls forget their true name, how they search outside for what has always been carved in their hearts. Listen, awakening soul, what you are about to hear are not mere words, but the vibrations that sustain worlds, the echoes of the primordial word that still resounds within the secret chambers of your being. Every syllable you pronounce after knowing this truth will be a key that opens or closes the veils of reality. Once upon a time, in the days when the earth was young and the gods walked among mortals, there was a scribe named Thoth. For years he had copied hieroglyphs onto the walls of temples, believing his work was merely decorative. One night, as he engraved the sacred words under the starlight, something extraordinary happened. When he spoke aloud the secret name of Ra, the hieroglyphs began to glow with their own light, and from the papyrus emerged luminous forms that danced before his eyes. In that moment, Thoth understood what I had whispered to the wind since the beginning, that every word written or spoken with full awareness is an act of creation, not empty sounds from the mouth of the wise, but invisible architects shaping the very substance of the world. The scribe discovered that he was not merely copying the words of the gods, he was embodying them, bringing them to life upon the plane of matter. But his joy turned into terror when he realized he had also spoken words of destruction without knowing it. He had written of wars, of diseases, of separations, and all those realities manifested in his life and in the lives of those around the temple. The power of the word is a double-edged sword. It can create paradises or abysses, depending on the consciousness of the one who wields it. That night of revelation I appeared before Thoth, not as men imagine me, with the head of an ibis and the body of a man, but as pure vibration, as the echo of all words that have ever been and ever will be. I spoke without lips, directly into his soul, son of dust who longs for eternity. You have discovered the secret that separates gods from mortals. Now you must choose. Forget what you have seen and return to unconsciousness, or become a guardian of the eternal word. Thoth chose the light. From then on he became one of my most faithful disciples. But before granting him complete wisdom, I had to teach him the first law of the word. Every word spoken with intention returns multiplied to the one who utters it. If you speak of abundance with true faith, abundance you shall reap. If you proclaim limitation with conviction, limitation you shall manifest. The universe does not judge the truth or falsehood of your words, only their vibratory intensity. Now, soul who listens, I want you to understand what Thoth learned through years of discipline. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are the architect of your reality through the word. Every word you speak is a seed, planted in the invisible garden of existence. Every thought you sustain is a prayer that the elements hear and obey. The sacred technique I revealed to Keti, and which I now reveal to you, is the foundation of all creative power. For 7 days at dawn, speak these words facing the east. I am the word that knows itself. My word is one with the eternal word. What I speak in truth manifests in form, but do not repeat them as an empty formula. Feel them rise from the center of your chest. Let them vibrate in every cell of your body until you no longer know where you end and where the word begins. After pronouncing these words, remain in silence for the length of a single incense stick. In that silence, listen, not with ears of flesh, but with the ears of the soul. There you will hear my voice, whispering to you the secret name you came to embody in this existence. Remember, seeker of the eternal word, you are not who you think you are. You are the word that chose to experience itself through the form you now call your body. When you awaken to this truth, every word you speak will be sacred, every silence a prayer, every breath a word creating worlds. The path you begin is not easy, but it is the only one that leads to true freedom. Chapter 2. The word that shaped the cosmos. In the beginning there was silence, and silence was perfect. But within that perfection dwelled an infinite nostalgia, the nostalgia of knowing itself. I witnessed that sacred moment, when the one consciousness spoke the first word, and that word was its own secret name. By speaking, it divided into infinite possibilities, and each possibility became a world, a star, a soul like yours. Listen with an open heart, for what I am about to reveal to you is the secret of all secrets. You are that original word that chose to experience itself in form. You are not the product of chance, nor the victim of fate. You are the one consciousness speaking itself through the life you call your own. Once upon a time, in the days when the pyramids were young and the initiates knew the mysteries of the heavens, there was a priestess named Neferet. For years she had served in the temple of Isis, believing the gods were beings separate from her, were beings to whom she had to pray and worship. One night, as she performed sacred ablutions under the full moon, she heard a voice that seemed to arise from the water itself. It was my voice. I whispered the secret I had kept since the dawn of time. Daughter of the light seeking itself, you do not worship gods outside yourself. You are the goddess who has forgotten her divine nature. Every prayer you speak is your own consciousness speaking to itself. Every ritual you perform is your soul remembering its creative power. Neferet froze, not out of fear, but out of recognition. Deep within her being, she knew these words were true. But her mind, trained in separation, resisted such vastness. How can it be, she asked, that I, a mere mortal, am the same consciousness that created the stars? She asked this to the reflection of the moon in the sacred water. So I showed her the vision that I now share with you. I showed her how the primordial word unfolded into the cosmos. At first, it was one indivisible, perfect in unity. But to know itself, it needed a mirror. It needed to experience duality. Thus the one word spoke itself as two, light and shadow, above and below, I and you. But two longed for wholeness and manifested as three. The sacred trinity of observer, observed, and observation. Three unfolded into four, the primordial elements that form matter. Four expanded into five, the quintessence that animates all forms. 5 multiplied into 6, the perfection of creation in balance. 6 completed into 7, the levels of consciousness connecting the human with the divine. And 7 crowned itself as 8, eternal regeneration, the endless cycle with no beginning or end. Thus the original word became the sacred geometry of the universe, the music of the spheres, the dance of the planets. Each number is not a quantity, but a quality of consciousness, a note in the cosmic symphony that your soul came to interpret. Neferet realized she was not a single note, but carried the entire symphony within her, that whenever she spoke a word with full awareness, she set into motion the same forces that created the cosmos, that her human voice was an echo of the cosmic voice, and that she could create or destroy, depending on the harmony or disharmony of her speech. From that night on, Neferet became one of my most powerful scribes. But first she had to learn the second law of the word. The word only holds power when it is born from sacred silence. Words born from fear, haste, or unconsciousness are like sterile seeds that find no fertile soil. But words emerging from contemplative silence, from true love, from connection with the sacred center, these words are like rays of sun that awaken life wherever they touch. Now, soul who listens, I want you to experience what Neferet discovered, that your personal word is connected to the cosmic word, that when you speak from your true center, it is the same consciousness that once spoke worlds into existence, which now speaks through you. The sacred technique I revealed to Neferet and now reveal to you is the practice of uniting your personal word with the cosmic word. Seek a place where you can be alone and in silence. Sit facing the east. Place your hands upon your heart. Breathe deeply until your breath and the breath of the universe become one. Then speak these words, not as external sounds, but as vibrations born from the center of your chest, expanding to embrace all of space. I am the word that speaks itself. My voice is the echo of the eternal voice. What I speak in unity manifests in multiplicity. Remain silent after each phrase, feeling the vibration expand beyond your body, beyond your room, beyond your world. Repeat this for 9 complete breaths. On the 10th breath, do not speak. Simply listen. In that silence after the word, in that sacred space between sound and stillness, there lies the doorway to cosmic consciousness. There lies your true name, waiting to be remembered. Remember, seeker of the eternal word, you are not a drop separate from the ocean. You are the entire ocean, experiencing itself as a drop. When you speak from this understanding, your words will have the power to move mountains, to heal hearts, to awaken souls, because it will no longer be you who speaks, but the primordial word, speaking through the form you temporarily call your being. Chapter 3. The Judgment of the Soul and the Power of the Word. When the body dissolves into dust and the soul crosses the threshold of the invisible, all masks fall away. Neither titles nor possessions nor appearances follow you. The only thing that remains is the vibration of your word. For it is not deeds that are weighed on the scale of eternity, but the word that gave birth to those deeds. Listen carefully, soul who seeks understanding. When you stand before the throne of Masit, your heart will be weighed against the feather of truth. But what is your heart, if not the living echo of all the words you have ever spoken, thought, or withheld? Once upon a time, in the days when the dead were guided with sacred hymns, there was a man named Horemheb. He was neither priest nor king, but an ordinary man who had lived according to the customs of his time. When he died, he expected darkness or eternal sleep. Instead, he found himself standing before a radiant scale, watched by invisible witnesses. On one side was placed the feather of Maset, on the other his own words. To his astonishment, each word spoken in his lifetime took the form of a papyrus roll, shining with light or weighed down by shadow. The words of love he had spoken to his children glowed like gold. The words of encouragement he had once offered to strangers rose like wings of light. But the words of cruelty, of slander, of manipulation, these appeared as heavy stones, threatening to tip the scale. Then I appeared to him and spoke, "Horemheb, son of your own word, this is the true judgment of the soul, not by gods who condemn or absolve, but by your own conscience, that now sees clearly the weight of every sound it ever uttered." Terrified, he asked me, "Is there no forgiveness for the words I spoke in ignorance?" And I answered, "There is forgiveness, but not as you imagine. Forgiveness is not an external pardon. It is the awakening of consciousness. When you recognize the power of your word, you receive the chance to return, to live again, and to speak differently." Thus he learned the third law of the word. Every word spoken remains recorded in the fabric of the universe, but every new word has the power to transmute the old. A word of love can dissolve lifetimes of hatred. A word of truth can break chains of deception. A word of blessing can heal wounds carried through generations. Horemheb returned to the cycle of incarnation with new understanding, and though he forgot my presence for a time, deep within him he carried the certainty that his words shaped not only his destiny, but also the destiny of those around him. Now, soul who listens, I want you to feel this truth. Every word you speak today is already being weighed on the scale of your eternity. But this is not cause for fear. It is the greatest opportunity of your existence. For you hold, here and now, the power to choose words that balance, heal, and elevate your soul. The sacred technique I revealed to Horemheb, and which I now share with you, is the ritual of the nightly balance. Before sleeping each night, sit in silence and review the words you spoke during the day. Imagine placing each one upon a golden scale. Words of kindness, truth, or love shine with light. Words of anger, lies, or harm weigh heavy with shadow. Do not judge yourself. Simply recognize with honesty, then speak with full intention. I release the weight of unconscious words. I bless those I have harmed. I forgive myself for forgetting my power. Tomorrow my word will be clearer, truer, and more radiant. Visualize the scale returning to perfect balance. By practicing this nightly ritual, you will train your soul to speak words that can face the judgment of eternity without fear. Remember, seeker of the eternal word, your judgment is not a punishment awaiting you in death. It is the mirror you look into each day. When you hear the echo of your own voice in your heart, live and speak as one who knows that every word shapes the weight of your soul. Chapter 4, The Hidden Name and the Power of Invocation. Every being has a secret name, a name not given by parents, nor written in documents, nor pronounced in the marketplace. It is the primordial vibration your soul uttered when it emerged from the womb of eternity. This hidden name is the key to your true power, for when you remember it, all forces of the cosmos recognize you, and when you invoke it, heaven and earth align with your destiny. Once upon a time, in the days when initiates sought the truth, not in books but in silence, there lived a young woman named Tia. She served as an apprentice in the temple of Hathor, performing simple tasks, but longing to discover the mysteries reserved for the chosen. One night, overwhelmed by her desire, she prayed beneath the stars, "O gods, reveal to me the word that awakens souls." I answered her prayer with a dream. She found herself in a vast hall of mirrors, each reflecting a different version of herself. Child, maiden, priestess, elder. But in the center of the hall was a mirror without reflection, a pure void. From that mirror came my voice. Tia, daughter of silence, the word you seek is not outside you. It is the name your soul spoke when it chose to descend into matter. That name is hidden in your heart, and only you can awaken it. Confused, she asked, "How can I remember what my memory has forgotten?" And I replied, "Memory of the mind forgets. Memory of the soul never does. You must not think of the name. You must feel it." The following night, Tia entered deep meditation. She placed her hands on her chest and listened to the rhythm of her heartbeat. With each beat, a syllable seemed to arise from within. At first faint, then stronger, until a sound formed that she had never heard before, yet it felt more familiar than her earthly name. That was her hidden name. When she pronounced it aloud, her entire body vibrated with light. She felt herself expanding beyond flesh, becoming one with the stars. From that day on, whenever she invoked her hidden name, Tia could calm storms, heal the sick, and open the eyes of the blind. Not because the sound itself was magical, but because it connected her to her true essence, and from that essence flowed all power. Now listen, soul who longs for remembrance. You too have a hidden name, a sound that belongs only to your soul, a vibration that aligns you with your eternal purpose. You cannot find it in external books. You cannot ask another to give it to you. It is a secret you must recover from within yourself. The sacred technique I revealed to Tia, and which I now reveal to you, is the rite of the hidden name. Each night before sleeping, place your hands upon your heart. Breathe deeply and listen to your heartbeat. Whisper softly, "Show me the sound of my soul." Do not force. Do not invent. Simply listen. Perhaps a syllable will arise in your mind. Perhaps a sound will come in dreams. Perhaps you will feel it more than hear it. Whatever arises, honor it. Repeat it with love. Over time, this vibration will reveal itself more clearly, and when you speak it with full presence, you will awaken forces that have been dormant within you since before your birth. Remember, seeker of the eternal word, your true name is not the one others use to call you. It is the vibration you spoke before entering time. When you remember and invoke it, you cease to be a shadow wandering in forgetfulness and become a conscious being, a star that knows its own light. Chapter 5. The Geometry of the Soul. Every soul is a perfect figure, drawn by the compass of the divine, rent upon the infinite papyrus of existence. You are not a random form born of chance. You are sacred geometry, containing within your inner proportions the laws of the universe. Just as a pyramid reflects the perfection of the stars, your being reflects the hidden order of the cosmos. And just as a hieroglyph can hold an entire world of meaning in a single sign, your soul's geometry contains whole universes in a single vibration. Once upon a time, in the days when the temples of Karmak resonated with secret chants, there was a young architect named Minku. His art was to raise colossal columns and majestic enclosures. Yet he did not understand why the priests insisted that every measure be based on the stars, the golden ratio, and the relation between heaven and earth. For him, proportions were merely a matter of aesthetics. But one night, as he measured the shadow of an obelisk, he experienced a revelation. The shadow formed a perfect triangle that matched exactly the position of Orion's stars. Then he understood that architecture was not only a matter of stone, but a matter of soul, At that moment I manifested to him through geometry itself. Son of stone who aspires to the sky, know that every visible proportion is the reflection of an invisible proportion. Everything built on the outside is but a mirror of what already exists inside the soul. Menku saw in a sudden vision that his heart itself had the form of a lotus of geometry, that his thoughts unfolded like sacred spirals, and that his emotions vibrated like waves, drawing perfect circles. He understood that his soul was not an invisible abstraction, but a living architecture obeying the same laws as pyramids, stars, and temples. Now listen, soul that seeks to know yourself. You are a living geometry. Your thoughts are lines. Your emotions are circles. Your decisions are angles. Your actions are complete figures, tracing the story of your being. When your thoughts are disordered, your geometry breaks. When your emotions are in disharmony, your circles distort. When your actions are incoherent, your figures fracture. But when you unite thought, emotion, and action in a single pure intention, your soul shines like a star of 1,000 facets, reflecting the perfect order of the cosmos. Menku's second vision went even deeper. He saw that every soul possesses a unique figure, a geometric combination that no one else shares. This figure is your cosmic seal, your eternal imprint, the design your being projects. In the great mandala of the universe, some are triangles, masters of will and direction. Others are circles, guardians of love and unity. Others are squares, pillars of stability and order. And some are spirals, bearers of evolution and constant change. But the deepest truth is that you contain all figures. Your essence is a living mandala, integrating all forms into one, the geometry of the soul. The sacred technique I taught Menku, and which I pass to you today, is the art of contemplating your inner geometry. Sit in silence, close your eyes, and place your hands upon your heart. Breathe deeply and ask inwardly, show me the sacred figure of my soul. Allow whatever comes without forcing, without judgment. Perhaps you will see a geometric shape in your mind. Perhaps you will feel energy unfolding in circles or angles. Perhaps you will hear only a word, a color, a vibration. Whatever the revelation, honor it. It is the first key to your cosmic seal. Practice this each night. In time, your soul's geometry will reveal itself more clearly. When you know your inner figure, you will understand your strengths, your challenges, and above all, your mission in the great temple of creation. Menku, when he discovered his soul was an 8-pointed star, knew he was destined to unite heaven and earth, a light and matter, and every temple he built reflected that inner star. In the same way, you too can transform every aspect of your life into a reflection of your sacred geometry. Your relationships, your work, your creations, all can become a living temple aligned with the figure of your soul. Remember, seeker of eternal harmony, you are not chaos born of random circumstance. You are perfect geometry, drawn by infinite consciousness. When you live in this understanding, your being will resonate with the music of the spheres, and each step you take on the earth will trace a luminous line connecting your soul to the cosmos. Chapter 6. The Lost Language of the Gods. Before human tongues divided at Babel, before men forgot that all words are but echoes of a single word, there existed a language that needed no sound to be heard, no symbols to be understood. It was the primordial tongue, the sacred language the gods used to speak among themselves and with awakened souls. This language has not been lost. It has only fallen asleep, buried deep within your being, waiting to be remembered. Listen, soul that longs to converse with the eternal. Every word you utter in any human language is but a pale shadow of that original tongue. When you speak from your true heart, when your words are born of sacred silence, you are already pronouncing fragments of that divine language. The gods do not need you to learn new words. They need you to remember the creative power already dwelling in the words you know. Once upon a time, in the days when Thebes was the holy city, where God spoke with mortals, there was a young priestess named Sekhem. For years she memorized hymns in the ancient tongue. She recited invocations in forgotten dialects. She sang mantras in idioms no one else understood. But despite all her learning, she felt the sacred words she pronounced were empty shells, beautiful in sound, but stripped of the transformative power the texts had promised. One morning, as she recited the prayers of dawn, in the deserted temple, something extraordinary occurred. The words she had repeated thousands of times began to resonate differently within her. It was not their sound that changed, but her listening. For the first time, she heard them with her heart instead of her mind. Each syllable became a vibration, awakening ancestral memories buried since the beginning of time. Sekhem realized she was not reciting dead words from a dead language. She was remembering the eternal tongue her soul had spoken before incarnation. Each sacred sound became a key that opened a door in her consciousness, linking her to levels of understanding the intellect alone could not reach. Then I manifested through the very words she spoke, speaking from the heart of every sacred sound. Daughter of the word, seeking its origin, you have discovered that the language of the gods does not lie in the outer forms of words, but in the consciousness from which they are spoken. When you speak from your sacred center, every word becomes divine word. Sekhem asked me, her voice trembling with reverence, "How can I always speak in the language of the gods?" And I answered through the echo of the temple walls, "The divine tongue has 3 levels. The first is conscious silence, where words are born. The second is the vibration of the heart, where words are filled with power. The third is sacred utterance, where words become acts of creation." I showed her then that conscious silence is not the absence of sound, but the total presence of awareness. When you speak from this silence, your words carry the authority of eternity. When you speak from mental noise, your words scatter like dead leaves in the wind. That the vibration of the heart is the bridge between intention and manifestation. When you deeply feel what you say, your words are charged with the life force that moves the worlds. When you speak without feeling, your words are sterile seeds, unable to sprout. That sacred utterance depends not on phonetic perfection, but on the awareness of channeling the divine. When you know it is eternal wisdom speaking through you, every word becomes a blessing, transforming whatever it touches. From that day on, Sekhem became a mistress of the sacred tongue. Her words could heal wounds no ointment could cure. They could awaken souls long asleep. They could invoke divine presences that filled the temple with light. But the most extraordinary thing was this: she could do it in the common language of the people, for she had learned that any language becomes sacred when spoken from divine consciousness. Now listen, soul that bends the ear, you too can speak in the language of the gods. You need not learn new words, nor recite mantras in ancient tongues. You need only one thing: to remember how to link your human speech to the eternal word already vibrating within you. The sacred technique I taught Sekhem, and now reveal to you, is the practice of activating divine speech in any conversation. Before uttering an important word, Whether in dialogue, in prayer, or in conscious creation, practice this inner ritual. Breathe deeply. Bring your attention to the center of your chest. Feel the sacred space where your physical heart and your spiritual heart unite. Speak inwardly. I am the channel of the eternal word. What I speak is born of sacred silence. My voice is the echo of the divine voice. Feel this vibration awaken in your heart, as if tuning yourself to a cosmic frequency. Before speaking, hold a moment of conscious silence. Silence full of presence. Then speak, not from agitation of the mind, but from your sacred center. Thus, whether you ask a merchant for bread, console a friend, or recite a prayer, if your words come from your conscious heart, they will carry the frequency of love. And love is the universal language all souls understand. Remember, speaker of the eternal word, you are not merely a maker of sounds. You are a channel of the divine word. When you speak from the awareness of your sacred nature, every conversation becomes communion, every word an offering, and every silence a prayer, lifting the vibration of the world. Chapter 7. The judgment of the word, your soul before the scales. Every word you utter is inscribed in the invisible book of your existence. If every silence you choose becomes a sacred space where your soul can breathe, when you abandon the body of flesh and stand before the cosmic scales, it will not be your actions that are weighed, but the word that flowed from your heart. For actions are the fruit, but words are the seeds that determine the nature of those fruits. Listen, soul walking toward your eternal judgment. The tribunal awaiting you is not filled with external judges, measuring your life from without. It is you yourself who will judge you. It is your own consciousness that will weigh every word on the scales of truth. The feather of Mott is not an instrument of punishment, but the reminder that your word bears eternal consequences. Once upon a time, in the days when the pharaohs knew the secrets of the beyond and prepared their souls for the eternal journey, there was a high priest named Kenu Waset. For decades he officiated ceremonies. He pronounced blessings over the dying. He recited formulas to guide souls in their passage. But despite his knowledge of funerary rites, he had never experienced what it truly meant to face the judgment of the word. One night while meditating in the sacred chamber of the temple, Kenu Waset had a vision that changed his understanding forever. He saw himself leaving his body, floating above his still form, to where, yet freed of the weight of flesh, a golden light surrounded him, and he found himself standing before a monumental scale, shining with eternal fire. There were no terrifying judges, no accusing demons. There was only himself, his naked consciousness, and the echo of every word he had spoken in life. One by one, the words materialized as luminous scrolls and were placed on one side of the scale. On the other side lay the feather of Mott, symbol of absolute truth. Kenu Waset watched with awe as his words were weighed. Those spoken with true love shone like pure gold and balanced the scales. Those spoken with sincerity, though simple, held their weight with dignity. But words spoken in falsehood, with manipulation, with cruelty, appeared as dark scrolls that threatened to tilt the balance. Then I manifested before him, not as judge, but as witness to his own judgment. Child of the word that weighs itself, you are experiencing what every soul faces when freed from the illusion of separation. No external court condemns you. It is your own consciousness that recognizes the weight of every word uttered in life. Kenu Waset asked me with trembling voice, "What happens if my words do not balance the scale?" And I replied with compassion, "Embracing all souls. Then you return to learn. You reincarnate until you master the art of conscious speech. But understand, this is no punishment, but opportunity. Each life is a new chance to utter words that raise the vibration of the universe." I then revealed the deepest secret of the judgment of the word. Not all words carry the same weight. Words spoken consciously from the heart sits center, with pure intent to serve the greater good, shine so brightly they can balance even the shadows of the past. A single word spoken in true love can outweigh 1,000 uttered in fear. But there is more. The words you never spoke are also weighed. The silence you chose, when a word of comfort could have healed a heart. The truth withheld, when it could have freed a soul. The blessing unspoken, when it could have transformed a life. Silence carries power, but also responsibility. Kenu Waset returned from his vision, utterly transformed. From that night on, he measured every word he spoke, first upon the scales of his own conscience. Before speaking, he would ask, "Does this word elevate or degrade, heal or wound, liberate or bind?" And he only uttered words that could face without fear the judgment of eternal truth. Now, soul who listens, know this: your judgment of the word is not a distant event awaiting your death. It is happening now, in every moment, with every word you speak. Your consciousness is constantly weighing your words, and you have the power to choose what you place on the scales of your destiny. The sacred practice I taught Kenu Waset and now offer you is the art of living in constant awareness of the judgment of the word. It is an exercise that turns every conversation into a sacred act, every word into a conscious offering on the altar of truth. Practice each night before sleep. Sit in silence. Review the words you spoke that day. Do this not with guilt or criticism, but with the loving honesty of one who truly desires to grow. Visualize a golden scale before you, with the feather of moth shining in one pan. Recall every meaningful conversation. For each word spoken in love, truth, or service, place a luminous scroll upon your pan of the scale. For each word spoken in anger, deceit, or harm, recognize its weight as a dark scroll. For each unspoken word, comfort withheld, truth evaded, blessing denied, acknowledge its silent weight. After this honest review, speak inwardly, "I am responsible for every word that flows from my being. My words hold the power to create or destroy. I choose my word to be a force of healing in the world. Tomorrow my words will shine with the light of conscious truth." Finally, visualize your scale balancing perfectly, not because you are flawless, but because your intention to evolve is real. Feel the peace that comes from knowing each day offers a new chance to utter words that elevate the vibration of the universe. Remember, soul who judges itself, do not wait for death to face the judgment of the word. Every day is an opportunity to utter words that can withstand the scales of truth. Every conversation is a chance to place pure gold into the treasury of your eternal consciousness. Chapter 8. The Laws of the All. Mentalism, Vibration, and Correspondence. All is mind. All is vibration. All is mirror. These three words contain the essence of what the cosmos whispers in every dawn in every breath, in every heartbeat of the universal heart. I inscribed these laws upon the first emerald tablets, when the world had no name and matter was but a dream, in the supreme consciousness. Once upon a time, there was a pharaoh who believed he ruled his kingdom with an iron hand. Each morning he looked from his palace over the lands he considered his, the people he called subjects, the treasures he imagined he possessed. One day, as he observed the building of his pyramid, he came to me and said, "Thoth, I want my words to hold absolute power over reality. I want the elements to obey me when I speak, the stones to rise by themselves, the rivers to change their course." I replied, "O king, your request shows that you do not understand the nature of what you rule. It is not your words that need power, but your comprehension, or the laws already governing all things." I led him to the most secret chamber of his palace, where I engraved in pure gold 3 symbols: an eye that sees all things, a wave expanding infinitely, 2 serpents mirroring each other. "These are the 3 master keys," I told him. "With them you will not dominate reality. You will discover that you yourself are reality, which you strive in vain to dominate." The first symbol, the all-seeing eye. The law of mentalism, all is mind. The entire universe is a mental manifestation of the all. There is no matter apart from consciousness, no object independent of the observer, no external reality that is not a reflection of inner reality. When the pharaoh grasped this, his eyes filled with tears. He understood that his kingdom was not something he possessed, but something he was. The universal mind is like an infinite ocean, and every conscious being is like a drop, containing the essence of the entire ocean. When you speak a word, you are not merely moving air, you are creating a ripple in the ocean of consciousness. When you think, you are not generating sparks in your brain, you are accessing the infinite library of the all. The second symbol, the eternal wave. The law of vibration. All moves, all vibrates, nothing rests. From the densest stone to the subtlest thought, all is in ceaseless vibratory motion. The difference between matter and spirit is only a difference of frequency. I told the pharaoh, "Stretch your hand to that stone." When he did, I continued, "What you call solid stone vibrates at such a rate that your senses perceive it as immobile. But if you could quicken your perception, you would see that every atom of that stone dances with the same passion as the stars in the heavens." When you understand the law of vibration, you realize that changing your reality requires no physical force, but only vibrational elevation. Every word you speak carries a specific vibration. If you speak from fear, you generate waves of fear that attract fearful experiences. If you speak from love, you create waves of love that magnetize loving realities toward you. The third symbol, the reflecting serpents. The law of correspondence. As above, so below. As within, so without. As in the great, so in the small. This law reveals the perfect harmony between all planes of existence. Observe your kingdom. I told the pharaoh, "See disorder in your lands? It is because there is disorder in your heart. See rebellion in your people. It is because there is rebellion in your soul. See scarcity in your granaries. It is because there is scarcity in your mind." The pharaoh looked at me with new eyes and asked, "Then if I change my inner world, will my outer world change?" I replied, "It is deeper than that. When you realize there is no inner or outer, but one single reality, expressed in many levels, then you will not need to change anything. You will see that all is already perfect, as it is. These three laws are not concepts to be understood by the mind, but truths to be embodied with your entire being. When your heart beats to the rhythm of mentalism, every thought becomes a seed of reality. When your breath aligns with the universal vibration, every word becomes a cosmic decree. When your soul embraces correspondence, every act becomes a living prayer. Sacred practice. Practice this for 7 days. Before uttering any important word, place your hand upon your heart and recall, all is mind, and my mind is one with the universal mind. All is vibration, and my vibration is sacred. All is correspondence, and my word reflects the perfection of the cosmos. You will see reality begin to reorder itself around this remembrance, not because you learned a technique, but because you remembered who you are, a conscious aspect of the all, expressing itself in human form, with the power to create worlds through the sacred word. The Pharaoh, after meditating on these teachings for a full moon, returned to me transformed. His eyes shone with a new light, and he said, "Thoth, now I understand. I do not need the stones to obey my words, for my words and the stones are one and the same. I do not need power over reality, for I am reality itself expressing, and so I inscribed upon the emerald tablets, he who understands these three laws holds the master key to all mysteries, for there is no greater mystery than the recognition that the seeker, the sought, and the seeking are one single reality, vibrating in perfect correspondence with the infinite mind." Chapter 9. The number that breathes. In the beginning, it was not the word. It was the number, and the number breathed. Before the first word existed, before the first name was spoken, there already was the sacred rhythm beating in the heart of creation. I, Thoth, witnessed the moment when the supreme consciousness exhaled the first number, and with that exhalation, time, space, and all possibilities of existence were born. Once upon a time, there was a high priestess of the temple of Isis who devoted her entire life to deciphering the mathematical mysteries of the cosmos. Her name was Nith, and she possessed a mind so brilliant she could calculate the movement of the stars with flawless precision. For decades she studied sacred proportions, numeric sequences, and divine geometries, believing wisdom resided in the complexity of her equations. One night, as she contemplated the stars from the temple rooftop, she came to me with desperation in her eyes and asked, "Thoth, I have memorized every sacred number. I have deciphered every divine proportion. I have drawn every celestial geometry, yet still I do not grasp the ultimate secret. Where is the number that governs all numbers?" I smiled and replied, "Nith, you have sought the answer in the stars. When the answer lies in your breath, you have counted the outer numbers. When the number you seek is the one counting you." I led her into a secret chamber of the temple. There were no scrolls, no tablets, no instruments of calculation, only a mirror of black obsidian. "Sit before this mirror," I said. "Simply breathe. Do not count. Do not measure. Do not calculate. Just breathe." At first, Nith resisted the simplicity of the instruction. Her mind was trained for complexity, for intricate equations, for elaborate formulas. But gradually, as her breath grew calmer, she began to perceive something that had always been present, but never noticed. "Do you feel it?" I asked. the rhythm beneath all rhythms, the number that counts itself, the pulsation that needs no measure, for it is the measure itself. Her eyes filled with understanding as she finally experienced it. The number that breathes is not 1, nor 2, nor 3, nor any digit that can be written on a scroll. It is the living number, the conscious number, the number that exists before being counted and after being forgotten. This breathing number is the primordial pulse organizing all creation. When your heart beats, it follows the rhythm of this number. When the seasons change, they dance to its cadence. When a star is born or a galaxy dies, they obey the instructions of this number that writes itself in the book of space-time. But Thoth asked, "How can a number breathe? How can it be alive?" I replied, "Because the number is not an abstraction of the mind, but the very structure of consciousness. When you count from 1 to 10, you are not manipulating dead symbols. You are participating in the creative act of the cosmos. Every number is a state of being. Every sequence is a divine melody. Every equation is a mathematical prayer." I then revealed the deepest secret. The number that breathes is your very soul counting itself. When you inhale, you are the number expanding into infinity. When you exhale, you are the number contracting into unity. And in the pause between inhalation and exhalation, you are the number contemplating itself in the mirror of the void. That is why I continued, when you pronounce your true name, you are not speaking sounds. You are singing your sacred number. When you declare an intention, you are not moving air. You are programming the equation of your destiny. When you pray, you are not speaking to someone outside. You are harmonizing your personal rhythm with the universal rhythm. Nith sat in silence for a long time, feeling her breath synchronize with a rhythm more ancient and true than any formula she had studied. Finally, she asked, "How can I work with this number that breathes?" I taught her the secret ritual, the ritual of the breathing number. Each morning, before uttering your first word, place your right hand upon your heart and your left hand upon your belly. Feel the dual rhythm of your breath and your pulse. That is your personal number, resonating with the universal number. When you sense the synchronization, pronounce your most sacred intention, not as a plea, but as an equation already solved in the plane of causes. For 40 days, Nith practiced this ritual. Gradually, her life reorganized with a mathematical precision that surpassed all her calculations. Her needs manifested at the exact moment. Her relationships aligned in perfect harmony. Her intuitions became as precise as astronomical predictions. "How is this possible?" she asked in wonder. I answered, "Because you have stopped counting numbers and allowed the number to count you. You have ceased using mathematics and allowed mathematics to use you. You have become a living equation of divinity. The number that breathes cannot be learned by the mind. It must be remembered by the heart. It is encoded in your DNA, engraved in your soul, pulsing in every cell of your body. When you walk, you count steps in the language of this number. When you speak, you pronounce syllables in its dialect. When you love, you multiply the formula of this number. 7-day practice. For the next 7 days, dedicate the first minutes of each morning to simply feeling your breath without counting it, without measuring it, without analyzing. Just let your breath breathe you. In that mathematical surrender, Pronounce your deepest intention, not as a command, but as an equation the universe is already resolving. You will find your life beginning to flow with the precision of a cosmic clock, not because you learned a new technique, but because you remembered the primordial language your soul uses to commune with universal intelligence. After months of practice, Nith became a master of sacred mathematics. She no longer needed instruments to calculate, for she had learned to read the living numbers, breathing in every situation. Her final question was, "Thoth, what is the most sacred number?" I replied, "The most sacred number is the one you are in this moment. For you do not have a number, you are a number, a unique, unrepeatable number, pronounced by the cosmos, once and forever in all eternity. Your task is not to discover what number you are, but to be that number so authentically that all creation may recognize itself in you." And so I inscribed upon the emerald tablets, "The number that breathes is the signature of God upon every soul. He who learns to read this signature becomes co-author of the divine equation. He who learns to breathe this number becomes a conscious variable in the infinite calculation of existence." Chapter 10, The Secret of Resurrection Through the Word. Death is not the end. Death is a pause in the rhythm of the eternal word. Just as silence does not destroy the song, but gives it space to breathe, so too does death not annul life, but renews its vibration. I, Thoth, guardian of the eternal records, have witnessed countless souls crossing the threshold of shadow, believing all was finished, only to discover that what they called death was but the passage to a new word awaiting them. Once upon a time there was a man named Zao, a humble farmer of the Nile. He lived simply, without temples or scrolls, but with a pure heart. When illness took him, his family wept, thinking they had lost him forever. But in the invisible realm, Zao discovered a secret no priest had ever revealed to him. The word has the power to resurrect. Confused, he wandered through the mists of the beyond, until he heard my voice calling him, "Zao, son of the fertile earth, do not fear. You are not dead. You are a word, about to be pronounced again." He asked me with trembling, "Can I return to life? Can I see my family again?" And I replied, "Every soul can return, but not all return in the same way. Some resurrect in the memory of their loved ones, some in the fruits of their deeds, some in new bodies, and a few, those who discover the secret of the word, can resurrect in full consciousness." Zao desired this path, and so I taught him the fourth law of the word. What is named with full faith is reborn. If you name death, you reinforce the tomb. If you name life, you open the door to resurrection. I guided Zao to repeat these sacred words. I am not a body that dies. I am the word that resurrects. My name is written in eternity, and no silence can erase it. As he repeated them, his vibration intensified. What was shadow became light. What was silence became sound. What was dust became form. And so after 3 days in the beyond, Zao opened his eyes again among the living. His family believed it a miracle. But the true miracle was not that he had returned to life, but that he had discovered the word is stronger than death. Now listen, soul who fears endings. The power of resurrection is not a privilege of a few. It is your birthright. Every day you die a little, and every day you can resurrect through the word. When you awaken each morning, you resurrect. When you forgive after hatred, you resurrect. When you speak truth after deception, you resurrect. When you declare love where there was indifference, you resurrect. The sacred practice of resurrection through the word is simple yet profound. Whenever you feel trapped in despair, bulliness, failure, or grief, speak with full presence. I resurrect now through the power of the eternal word. I return to life. My soul chooses light. My being chooses truth. My word makes me rise again. Repeat this 3 times, placing your hands upon your heart. Then remain in silence, feeling life return to every cell of your body, as if your soul itself were breathing you anew. Remember, seeker of the eternal dawn, resurrection is not a distant promise, nor a future miracle. It is a present power that awakens every time you remember that you are the Word, and the Word by its very nature can never die, for it is the eternal vibration sustaining all existence. Chapter 11. The Incarnate Word transforming flesh into light. Your body is not a prison, nor a simple shell destined for dust. Your body is the living temple of the Word. Every cell, every fiber, every organ was shaped by the original Word. Your soul spoke when it chose to incarnate. Listen carefully, soul dwelling in flesh. You are not a spirit trapped in a body. You are the Word made flesh. You are the spoken word become matter, the vibration condensed into substance, the eternal idea crystallized in visible form. And just as the word can create, so too can it transform. When you awaken your consciousness, your body can become light. Your flesh can transfigure into pure energy. For what you call matter is but spirit condensed, and what you call spirit is but matter refined. Once upon a time in Saqqara, there lived a disciple named Anu. He served in the temple, lighting lamps, cleaning statues, carrying water for rituals. But deep within, he dreamed of something greater. He wished to free himself from the limits of flesh and become pure spirit. One night I appeared to him and said, "Son of luminous dust, why do you despise the flesh I have given you? Do you not understand? Your body is not your enemy, but your ally. It is the chalice in which the word becomes alive. It is not by fleeing the body that you find light, but by transforming the body into light." Then I taught him the mystery of the incarnate word. Every cell of your body listens to the words you speak. Every organ responds to the stories you tell. Every fiber remembers the vibrations you sustain day by day. If you speak of sickness and weakness, your body obeys and becomes frail. If you proclaim health and vitality, your body fills with strength. If you repeat words of love and gratitude, every cell glows with gentle light. If you repeat words of hatred or fear, every cell fills with shadow. Your body is a living manuscript, written by your word, and you can rewrite its pages by changing the words you speak to it. Anu began to practice. Each morning he placed his hands upon his heart and said, "My body is light. My flesh is divine vibration. My cells radiate with health and immortality." Day by day he felt the change. His eyes shone brighter. His skin emanated a soft warmth. His steps grew lighter, as though he floated. The other priest believed he was growing younger, not older. And in truth, he was simply allowing his word to transform his flesh into light. Listen, incarnate soul, you too can practice this sacred art. Each night before sleep, lie down and relax your body. Breathe deeply and feel life circulate in every cell. Then speak inwardly to your body as to a beloved friend. "Thank you, sacred temple, for carrying me through this existence. Thank you, cells, for vibrating in harmony with light. I proclaim that you are health, strength, youth, and immortality. Visualize your entire body filling with golden light, radiating from your heart, spreading through every organ, every fiber, every atom. By practicing this ritual with constancy, you will awaken the power of the body of light. And though you still walk in flesh among men, your whole being will radiate a subtle energy, healing and inspiring all around you. Remember, incarnate word, you are not condemned to the fragility of matter. You are eternal light, playing at being flesh. And when you speak your word with faith, your flesh remembers its true origin. It remembers that it is light. Chapter 12. The Return of the Scribe, the Word as a Path of Ascension. At the end of all paths, the scribe returns to the silence, from which the first word arose. After exploring every mystery of the Word, after mastering every art of sacred speech, after learning to create realities with sound and heal souls with vibration, comes the supreme moment, the return. But this return is not retreat. It is not forgetting. It is ascension. It is total remembrance. It is the instant the scribe realizes he himself is the Word. He had been writing all along. Once upon a time there was an aged master, a scribe named Ptahhotep. For 80 years he had copied, studied, and taught the sacred texts. He knew by heart every hieroglyph, every magical formula, every prayer of power. His disciples revered him as a living library, yet in his final days, an inexplicable emptiness filled him. One afternoon, gazing at the Nile from his study, he called to me with a question, piercing his soul. "Thoth, I have given my whole life in service to the Word, and yet I feel the Word no longer serves me. I have memorized every text, yet my soul remains thirsty. Where is the Word that cannot be written? Where is the wisdom that cannot be copied nor taught?" I answered with compassion, "Ptahhotep, you have reached the supreme threshold. You have exhausted all outer words. Now it is time to find the inner word. You have read every book. Now it is time to read the book that is you." I led him into a chamber sealed for 1,000 years. At its center there were no papyri, no tablets, no tools of writing, only a throne of black obsidian. Before a mirror of still water, "Sit," I said, "and contemplate your reflection. But do not look at the image. Look at the one who looks at the image." Ptahhotep sat with the dignity of one who had faithfully served wisdom. At first he saw only his aged face. Then, little by little, his reflection changed. He saw all his past selves, the child learning to write, the youth discovering his vocation, the teacher transmitting knowledge, and the elder searching for ultimate truth. He asked, trembling, "What am I seeing?" I replied, "You are seeing the only word that truly matters, the Word made flesh in you, the story the universe has written through your existence." Then I revealed the ultimate secret. Each soul is a word that the cosmos pronounces only once in eternity. Each life is a phrase in the great book of existence. Each experience is a letter in the infinite alphabet of consciousness. When the soul awakens to this truth, it realizes it was never searching for the Word. It had always been the Word. The path of the scribe does not culminate in mastering writing, but in realizing he is what is written. It does not end when he reads the sacred texts, but when he discovers he himself is the sacred text. I taught him the final practice. Each dawn, sit in silence and ask yourself, what word am I today? Do not seek the answer with your mind. Feel it with your heart. Then live your entire day, embodying that word consciously. Ptah practiced this discipline in his final days. Gradually, his teaching changed. He no longer transmitted only knowledge of texts, but the wisdom of being. His disciples said that when he spoke, they did not hear words, they felt a presence. They did not receive information, but transformation. One day he asked me, then all my learning, all my devotion to the texts, was it an illusion? I answered, no, Ptah, it was preparation. Every text you studied prepared you to read the text that is you. Every word you copied prepared you to recognize the word you are. Every teaching you transmitted prepared you to receive the wisdom you embody. And I told him further, ascension is not an event after death. It is a process in every moment of life. Each time you recognize you are the word the universe pronounces, you ascend. Each time you consciously live your verbal nature, you rise. Each time you allow the divine word to express through your humanity, you participate in the ascension of consciousness. Ptah remained silent, and in that silence, he became what he had sought all his life, the living word. For here lies the final mystery. When the scribe finishes his work, he discovers there never was scribe nor work. There was only the eternal writing itself.